Richland County Education Standing Committee. I'll do a roll call of the committee. Ingrid? Here. Dan McGuire? Chad? Barb? Linda? Here. Sean? Yeah. Okay, we have a quorum of 5 people. The proof of notification, I know it was posted down below on the bulletin board and was put on the website. Anybody else have suggestions about that? Okay, we have today a 21-point agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Chad Cosgrove moves. Dan McGuire seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have 2 sets of minutes from the August 12th meeting and the September 6th meeting. I'll take the August 12th meeting first. Did everybody get a chance to read them? They're on your you're on your iPad.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, Ingrid Gassner approves. Do I have a second? Okay, Chad Cosgrove seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, look at the minutes for September 5th. I may have made some mistakes on the 6th. Because I was leading it and taking minutes. So, any questions about the September 6th meeting? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Barb Boyce moves. Do I have a second? Ingrid Glassmeyer seconds. All in favor? Okay. All right. Our next item on here is we sent a letter on the night of September 6th after the our meeting by email to all the foundation board members. There were 17 people we sent it to. I also mailed a complete packet to each one of them on Wednesday afternoon and delivered it to Mike Compton, the executive, I don't know what you call it, Roseanne, executive director or whatever. And I think Marnie Dresser's on there. I delivered it to her. So we have some foundation members here today. Does anyone have any questions about that letter? Everybody got a copy of that letter that I sent with the amended parts to it? Any one of our committee, and we haven't heard anything officially back, so I guess any of the committee members want to make a comment? Okay, so we have 3 people from the foundation. We'd like to hear from you. Wait, you need to come up and talk into a microphone because of WebEx. Dwayne Simonson, thank you. Oh, okay, Sean, are you on? Hello, Sean?
Yes, Madam Chair, I am here.
Okay, we are on item number 6 of the letter to the foundation, and we have Dwayne Simonson here from the foundation who's going to speak.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's brief if I can. I'm interested in doing a little bit of a look at the courts. There's 3 tennis courts and a basketball court over by Simon's, and they haven't been fixed or repaired for quite a while. They need a little maintenance. And I'm interested in possibly converting one of the courts into pickleball, but I need to remove the plastic to look at the surface to find out if it's feasible and what the costs are. So it's just kind of moving plastic off, looking at it, putting it back. And I also have some volunteers that might be able to fix the entrance. It's a little bit dangerous. The gate doesn't work, and we could probably straighten it out and set it in and fix the entryway. Oops. Fix the entryway a little bit. And so it'd be a little volunteer work looking at it, minimal cost, and I believe the foundation would pick it up. We're talking maybe a little cement, a little acrylic surfacer, and then in order to get a look at the surface to see if we can put pickleball courts on one of the tennis courts. So that's what I'm here for, just request that we have permission to kind of look at that. I can't tell if we can, make a court until we look underneath the plastic.
I think in our letter, we mentioned that the foundation does some capital improvements and we were interested in finding out what they were. So this might be one of those.
Yes, yes. And again, I don't know if we can do it or not, but even if we don't do it, we'd be willing to do a little fixing. I removed just a few to look at the tile by the basketball, and there was quite a bit of sediment had built up and stuff, and it's slippery. And so just even that around there would make it much safer for the students to use in public.
I know that Dwayne contacted Gail Hoffman and she was in favor of you doing that, correct?
On one of the courts, we're not trying to take all the tennis courts away, and we'd leave the tennis court intact if it is feasible. But I don't know what the surface looks like, and you have to take it off, you have to spray it and look at it. I have resurfaced the ones downtown, so I have a little bit of experience doing that.
Chad? Yeah, Gail, do you have any comments?
No, other than I think it's great that people want to volunteer and help out. We just have not been able to maintain those. So thank you, Dwayne.
All right, any other comments before we move on? Yes, Mike?
I guess I'd like to see more of a proposal of what it would look like and the details, what the cost would be, what the impact on the campus and the courses would be first before we got too far into something.
I think first you need to have
Yeah,
permission to go in and remove the plastic.
Yeah,
right?
I can't tell you the estimate till I look at it, and I can't look at it till I get permission to go in there and move the plastic. So it's kind of a catch-22. I can't give you the information until I get a look at it.
I guess some of the concerns that I've heard is that the way the courts were constructed, there's a springy type of surface or something underneath that could impact the whole area if just the one court is worked on. So I think we need to have somebody that knows that court, look at it, and knows how that stuff is set up so that we can get a good estimate on what that would do. Plus, I don't think we really haven't had a opportunity to talk about this on campus either with the faculty or staff at this point in time. Yep.
So can I make a comment? When you springy, I don't know if you're talking about water table or not, but I have 30 years of experience working with the USDA on hydrology, wetlands, and I mapped all the soils in Richland County. And that's elevated, and it's not a water problem. It's just a maintenance problem on the surface. Asphalt with the weather kind of breaks and seals. And then once it breaks, it continues to do that. So I'm sure it's not a water problem. There's water problems around there, but that's elevated, and that's not the cause of the thing. It's just no maintenance, and it just is an ongoing thing.
Yes, go ahead, Dan. Dan, you got to talk.
This one on the bottom.
Can you give me a visual, if you will, of just what the surface looks like when you look at it visually? What do you see because it's not, I can't see it here, so I was wondering if you could relay that.
There's a plastic, I don't know what you call it. They're like tiles on everything. So everything's covered. So if you don't take it off and then spray it, because there's an inch of dirt that's built up in it and moss. And so I took off 4 feet by 40 feet and I shoveled 25 shovels of dirt off. That's what's built up. And so that's going to ruin your surface if you don't remove that. So you remove it and then you can seal it or put it back on. You're going to be way ahead. If you let it sit with that moisture, held in there, you're going to lose what you got left on the surface. I did repair the ones down there, 120 hours, 4 courts. I'm working on 5 and 6. They look like new. I did the work and we got the contributions from the pickleball group, and they look pretty good. You can go down and look them at the park. Yeah. So.
Okay, we're going to have to keep moving today. Michael, what is it that you wanted from Dwayne now at this point?
Well, I would like some kind of proposal that outlines.
So can he go in and look at it so he can do the proposal?
That's what I'm asking for.
No, I'm asking you if that's,
Sure.
okay. No, I mean, what is your hesitation?
I'm sorry.
What's your hesitation?
I just don't want it to get real far down the road where people on campus have an opportunity in addition to Gail. You know, usually the steering committee on campus likes to look at proposals that have in campus base allocations, and it really kind of.
So could Dwayne come to your meeting? Do you have a meeting on Wednesday, a Zoom meeting?
That's not a steering committee meeting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just some, that's,
I don't know. I just thought maybe.
really what I need right now is what's the plan? What's the vision? What's the outlook? That's, to me, is something that's important before you start prying away to see what the problems are. You know, is this, and so then I'd like to have more of a conversation on my own with Gail to see what are possible impacts to her program for HHP and to the programming on campus for classes first.
Okay, well, we don't have this as an action today, so why don't you talk to Gail and then can you get back to Dwayne and us about it? Would that be a good idea?
I will talk to Gail. Maybe Gail has more information than I have.
Yeah, I mean, she and Dwayne have been talking.
Okay.
Does that help you, Dwayne?
Well, Gail and I have met out there. I showed her what I want to do. The fence, you
Okay.
can't even get the gate open and shut. And to me, and I have volunteers lined up to fix that. I have high school volunteers that have time to line up where they could take the plastic off and we could look at it. And so I can wait on this till now I'm getting confused as to, I just want to
Well,
look
we
at
have to work together here, so.
Yeah, I just don't quite understand what I can't
I guess.
give you any
Dwayne
information till I look at it,
suggested
and I just,
several of the city courts,
I just wanted to look at it so I could give you the information, then give Terry, our board, some information. I can wait on that.
Just let me talk to Gail because I've not been communicated with enough to know what the vision here is so that I can weigh in. So let me talk to Gail if that's what it takes to get a vision. But I need to know, I need to walk down there with Gail and to have a chat with her about what
Okay.
this vision process is and what are the possible impacts on the programs.
so why don't we do it that way and then you and Gail can contact Dwayne? Okay, so with the foundation, we sent you a letter. Are you here to reply to that in any way, Wayne? And are you here for a reason? That's what we're here to discuss. You gotta,
Hi, everyone. I'm Roseanne Knorr. I'm the new executive director. I just want to tell you, I did just receive the letter and I did just get the position over at the campus. So I do not have any responses to your letter. Tomorrow
you got
night.
it on Wednesday. I gave it to you, yeah.
Yeah, well, tonight is, or tomorrow night is our first foundation meeting. So I assume that we're going to talk about your letter at that time.
Okay.
So.
And I have a question for you. In our letter to you, we asked if we could come to the foundation meeting, but I think that's private. Would that be something that would be okay, or is that not okay? We'd just like to know.
Well, that's a good question. What have they done previously? Do you know? Sure, okay. To be invited to the foundation board meeting.
Well, we don't want to look too intrusive.
Right. I would say, you know, get a hold of Terry tomorrow and find out, and if someone wants to come, we'll leave it up to Terry Sobranic.
Okay, so
To
will you
respond.
email us or call us about that tomorrow?
Sure can.
And what time and where is the meeting?
We're holding it at the Smart Farm tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock,
In the barn?
as far as I
It'll
know.
be cold.
So, but like I said, I can't respond to the
Okay,
letter.
5
or the
o'clock in the
information.
barn at the Smart Farm.
Yes,
Hardy
yes.
souls.
All right.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else then on the discussion of the foundation?
Yeah, yes, I have some
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
I'm curious as to what kind of conversation you've already had with the foundation about this, because this could have a possible impact on scholarships that are offered to campus. When I think about my past, with my interactions with campus over the years, when you look at monies that are available, the donors, some donors, when they donate money to foundations, have specific intent put on those donations, while others might donate to the foundation with unrestricted funds. And so when we look at how this might operate, I don't know how much is available in unrestricted funds to support some of the suggestions that have been made with the resolution. So I think that's a point of curiosity for me, is if we're going to use, let's say we use $50,000-$60,000 a year of the unrestricted funds, what's left for scholarships, especially for international students? Because my understanding with conversation that I've had with Darla in the past is that there were very few donors that donated funds specifically to support international students. So a portion, maybe a large portion, I don't know what portion of those funds, but funds that were used to support international student scholarships in the past were from unrestricted donations. So to me, we need to really have a deep dive into the accounts to see what is possible that the foundation can support, and then get an idea of how does that impact in the scholarships that are offered through the campus from the foundation.
Any comments from board members? I know one scholarship, I got it, the Tanaka Scholarship came through me, and that's for international students. So there might be others there. And we got more of that money recently. We also have another Tanaka who's wanting to come to the campus soon. So we'll see what happens. Well, I think we need to have the meeting and hear that from the foundation board themselves. We don't know those things. That's why we're asking them for a dialogue. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my understanding. This is the first letter that's gone to them to start seeking what combinations of things would happen. So if that helps. Right.
Okay. We're going to move on to number 7, the administrative report. And then we sent you a letter, and we'd like to discuss those items in that letter, Michael. So you want to go ahead? I'm actually using minutes today. We already used more minutes in the beginning because some of us have to leave, I know, at 4:30 or something. So, Michael, I gave you 20 minutes. They like me.
So I went and looked on our dashboard this morning, and that has been basically the recruiting season for 2022 is closed. And there will be no information posted on those dashboards until the 10th day enrollment figures come out, which will be towards the end of the month. So I don't have an official update. Last count that I saw, we had registered over 30 new students. I don't have the count for continuing students yet. Or we were estimating that campus enrollment should approach or maybe exceed 60 total. I know Lisa, when I talked with Lisa Bailing last Thursday, she said she had registered 2 more students last week. So any new student registration should be drawing to a close, because you can't add classes after the 5th day into the semester. So I don't have any official numbers for you yet. They will come at the end of the month. Regarding the letter you sent me in response to, I've got something here for you. Oh, these might be extras, but you can take them as well.
Well, we can help you. John?
I didn't really have the time to get an electronic one out to you because these are pretty hot off the press when I left campus an
That's
hour
this
ago.
one.
So as these are going around, basically you'll see the letter is formatted to address the talking points that were in the letter that you sent to me last week. Basically, and I'm just going to highlight. I don't need to. We all can read. I don't need to read it for you, but I'm basically going to highlight it for you. First, one of the first items that are addressed in the letter is application and admissions to the UW-Platteville Richland campus. So the way operations have occurred in the past until this year, students could apply to any of the 3 campuses simultaneously. So students could apply to the Platteville campus, they could apply to Baraboo, they could apply to a Richland. If they did that, that would likely generate 3 acceptance letters to those individuals. So one of the points is that there's been some confusion as to which campus they're accepted to and which campus they applied to. So that has been some points of confusion. And so to remedy that effect, that problem, now students can only submit one application. So they can pick a campus and submit an application to that campus. So if a student wanted to apply to the Richland campus, they can go online, go through the website, submit that application, and specify on it that they're applying to the Richland campus. It works a lot better for them that way because that way the financial aid package looks different for a 2-year campus if you're pursuing an associate degree than it does when you're pursuing a baccalaureate degree, because the tuition amounts are different, the amount of financial aid you can qualify for is different, and so forth. So this could eliminate some of the confusion. As I was printing out documents, before I jumped in the car to head over here, I got an email from Aaron Withrow, and for a new thing that's effective right now on our website. So Linda, on the 11th of August, I believe I got a letter from you from notes from your conversation with Monica Kirshner that there was some confusion and such with these applications. So what I did when I received that letter or received those notes is I went online and went through the application process through Platteville's website. Then I went to UW Green Bay Marionette and went through their branch campus application process. And I did the same thing through Whitewater through Rock County's website. There's a lot of similarities. One thing that you'll notice after you hit the How to Apply button, with each one of those institutions, the address changes on top to the main campus address because every one of the comprehensive universities that has a branch campus operates their admissions through their main campus admissions department. They no longer have separate admissions departments. So if you're paying really close attention to the address on that web tag up on the top, you'll notice that change. Otherwise, you may or may not notice the change depending on what it looks like. So as I went through that process, I looked at, well, okay, I see how this goes for Platteville, and I see how it works for GB, and I see how it works for Whitewater. How can this be improved? And so the week after I received the letter, I had a meeting with Heidi Tusher-Gilly. She is the Director of Admissions for UW-Platteville, and that, armed with my sticky notes from my operations on the website, I said, Heidi, I think this could be simplified quite a bit if we had, once you hit the orange How to Apply button on the entrance website at the Richland webpage, that it would go to a page that says, first, select a campus. Be very simple, 3 tiles, you pick which campus you want, and then you get the instructions on how to complete the application. Everyone has to complete their application through the UW system electronic application database. So what ends up happening is that you end up eventually getting directed to a UW system website, which will then again ask you to select a campus. But hopefully what my thought is that, or what our thought is that that'll be in somebody's mind. Okay, I'm going for the Richland campus. So when this form comes up, then I click UW Platteville Richland and I'm ready to go. So And that's a mandated thing by UW system, or not a mandated, it is for all the campuses, comprehensive campuses that have more than one campus. We've all kind of gone into that line where you select one campus to apply to. If the student changes their mind later, they can submit a request to change where their application is funneled to, and then that triggers a refresh in the process. So, and I guess with that, I'd really kind of want to point out the importance of communication with me so that I know what problems people are experiencing, because then I can help figure it out. It would have been a lot easier for me to figure it out if I could have talked with the family directly and say, just ask them what problems they experienced. Then I could probably have had a much faster communication and had this problem fixed much more quickly. But 4-week turnaround time, I guess, considering the process we had, was pretty fast. And that's all then fixed, effective today for the class of 2023.
Okay, so that's fixed as of today then, right?
Yeah,
Good.
that should be up live now. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but Aaron told me that is effective today on the website. So I thought when I go back with my break before the natatorium meeting, I'll go back on the website and take a look.
Right.
Let's see, other things, the scholarships for international students. I know that's been some questions. Basically, last summer, I started working with the Richland County Campus Foundation to see what scholarships were available for international students and what type of agreements existed. At that point in time, there were no specific agreements for any one entity. I think there was some agreements with the colleges that the campus had, that UW Richland had, but with COVID, some of those expired, and we're working on refreshing those agreements. And some of the companies are just now getting back into the business of recruiting for international students. So the only thing I really wanted to point out with that is that if you go back to the minutes from last October 2021, what you'll see captured there is the conversation, some summary of the information that I delivered that shows that international students get at least a $3,000 scholarship through the foundation here at the Richland. And that those discussions were, I think, initially happened by contacts with the Eagle School. So the Eagle School students could submit an application and apply for those scholarships, as well as any student that's a non-resident, international student, non-resident outside the United States. So like I say, if you go back online to last year's committee, you'll see those in the minutes for October, the October meeting. So I guess lastly, I'll just reiterate that it's really important. I think the best way we can work together on this is that either you give me information for families or people that are having problems, or probably better yet, encourage them to contact me, give them my contact information. It's on the front of the letter in the footer that I circulated here today. That way I can follow up with more specific questions that will help me figure out what problems people are experiencing. Any questions you have for me?
Any comment? Are you talking to current students now and asking them, how their application went? Since you have the students right there.
I'm not having the conversations. However, when I talked with Lisa Bailing last Thursday, when I was on the campus, she said she had been having conversations with her new advisees from this year. And she said, basically, when she's asked people if they had about their experience in submitting applications, she basically said the ones she's talked to so far did not experience any problems or confusions when they went through the process.
And then, I guess we need to work more with the international director, Carrie Hill, again, because all those students from Eagle School did have a problem getting into the campus. Somehow there was some confusion there.
And I can talk with Carrie to see if she knows what the problems is. Not everyone that experiences problems communicates with the entity for which they have problems. So again, the best thing would be, gosh, if we could hear from some of those individuals. Like I said, when they came to visit campus last October, from the Eagle School. I had 20 seniors there, took them around campus, talked about the programs available, talked about the scholarships, because at that point in time, we knew about those. Told them that there was a $3,000 minimum scholarship available when they submit their application and submit that scholarship application to the foundation. And that at the time, we did not have an advisor hired yet, I don't think, but told them they could work with any one of the staff on campus to help complete that. And my understanding is that when Carrie's office, the International Education Office, went to Eagle School in November, that information was again shared with the students that attended those conversations. I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know what the turnout was, but.
In here. Right, talk in there so they can hear. Talk into there.
Related to housing, because I know they're having a problem finding, people to house some of these students. Is that, would? be-
That wasn't the problem with the students from the Eagle School, I don't think. Ingrid might know better.
Okay.
And we do have housing available for them at the campus.
They do, but this year there's a shortage.
I think this year there's four, so they saved half of Dean's Hall, which should be an occupancy of around 28. So there should be 28 not 28 rooms, I guess 14 rooms available for students this year. And I know we've only occupied probably 2, maybe 3 of those rooms so far. So there should be space over there.
I have firsthand knowledge, my neighbor took one of the students on an emergency basis and ended up with 3.
What kind of students?
Huh?
I mean, what kind of students are you talking about? Right, US students?
From Eagle School.
What?
That's.
Oh, Eagle International students?
Right,
And are you going to the high school or the campus?
high school.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they're eligible to live in that housing, being minors.
They wouldn't live there. They can't live there unless they're college students.
Oh, never mind. I have another question, but I won't bring it.
Go ahead.
No, I'll let it go for now.
Anybody else have questions? I guess I do about recruiting, because I did talk to Amanda, I forgot her last name right now, guidance counselor at the high school, Kelly at Hillsborough, Monica at Ithaca, and the Riverdale. And they did say in the last year that they didn't have, except Riverdale thought that there was one Zoom from Platteville, that they didn't have anyone in their high schools recruiting for UW Richland or Platteville.
Well, so we did have someone in Ithaca, because I have the information, the log. So I know there was at least one in-person visit
Okay.
last year at the Ithaca High School. I'm not sure
He
about
just
that.
probably wasn't there then.
But I do have, Megan Jensen is the person that's doing the recruitment now she's the Southwest Wisconsin recruiter for UW Platteville, all the UW Platteville campuses. So if I could summarize what she sent out, this was today, right? Or yesterday? Yeah, in the last couple of days, September. So for group visits, right now she's working on River Valley Middle School, about 90 students there. That's a to be determined date. Off-campus recruitment, Aquinas High School in La Crosse, September 19th. That's a college fair. River Valley High School, September 21st, English class, application help, and Craig Stout is helping with that. Reedsburg High School Financial, 9/26, that's a financial aid night. River Valley High School on 9/28, senior application day. Craig High School on October 6th, Sun Prairie on the 7th of October. Richland Center High School on the 10th, that's a financial aid night. Toma High School on October 12th, that's a high school visit. Boston High School, Viroqua High School are to be determined and they have expressed interest. And then Richland High School again on October 21st for application help. So that's a list of the work that Megan's doing within the next month on recruitment visits for a variety of things.
That's good. And she's taking the Richland Promise with her and also information from the residence halls?
She should have all that information, promotional information for all three campuses with the booklets and such.
Right. So when she's doing this recruitment, is it generically for Southwest Wisconsin or is it specific to UW Richland? Platteville, Richland?
It is for all three campuses. So it'd be Baraboo County, for Richland, for Platteville campus, promotional materials for all of the campuses. So it should be complete booklets or at least all the flyers that you would need to have depending on your interest and which campus you might be interested in. Again, the purpose of these visits is to provide information about UW Platteville campuses and the options that students would have. And of course, whatever conversations would happen organically from families or students that would visit that campus.
I did notice that Platteville's numbers were up this year.
Yeah, so first time in 5 years. We're up 12%, first time in 5 years. Yeah, and again, I don't know that we have a great explanation. We did a lot of different things last year for all the campuses to try to promote and increase enrollments. So now it's they've been going back to look at what were the most important activities or strategies that were used that gave us that climb there.
And are they pre-COVID? I heard the numbers were equal to pre-COVID.
No,
No.
they were not. My understanding is I'm trying to visualize the graph in my head because, right, this is the first time in 3 or 4 years that we've been up actually increased versus having 5 to 9% decreases. But it wouldn't be, it's not the same as 2000. It's less than 2018, I'm sure. I can't remember how it compares with 2019.
A quick question, thanks. Thank you, Mike, for the letter. Thank you for the information, and I agree we need to get this information to the hands that can take care of it right away to you. In looking at the information you just read off from Megan, I see River Valley is being caught up pretty hard. Does Megan, is Megan invited to these locations? I see the number of River Valley ones is impressive. I guess I'd like to see that in Richland, Ithaca, Riverdale, Weston. I don't know how she gathers that information. Do they schedule with her? Does she schedule with them?
I think it's both. Okay. So like a couple of these, the Mauston and the Viroqua one, the notes that I have here says that they've expressed interest. So then she's following up with setting up a date to do the visit there. I think others are, so some are from schools that express interest. Some are from schools where we constantly have history with making visits as well.
So we also then need to encourage our schools to be making sure they're getting a hold of Megan to make sure those things happen. That's part of what we can do also.
Yes,
Okay,
that would be
thank you.
awesome.
So I have a question because I talked to the commission at Baraboo, and they said that their student services was inviting counselors on campus themselves. Is that something that Lisa or you could do?
Yeah, I know they were having some guidance counselor visits last year. Marnie was organizing that, and she organized the ones for Richland as well as the ones for Baraboo. This year, that's certainly something that we can do and we have talked about. You know, I think some of the things that you listed in the letter to the chancellor where I saw about college fair and such, those are conversations that I've already had those conversations with the admissions and recruitment office, asking how we can work some of those things out. So when you see those types of activities happening, some will be led by recruitment office, some may be led by the specific college. So for example, engineering is very proactive about through their assistant dean's offices for arranging STEM visit days for a particular campus. I know they've talked a little bit about that with Baraboo, and conversations have been happening with when to have those at Richland as well. So just so that you're aware, you know, we view that recruitment is all of our responsibilities, not one person. And so, especially on the Platteville campus, those the departments being a lot more fully staffed than we are, they take on some of those responsibilities as well. And then we've also had conversations about trying to recruit student ambassadors to help out with visits or outreach activities as well. I know when I was an undergrad at Southern Illinois University, having come from a community college campus, the School of Agriculture contacted me and said, "Hey, would you represent the university at Danville Area Community College, where I came from? We'll pay for your trip home." And I'm on board with that, So I did those kind of things myself as a student, and I know we have students that do that as well. And we're working to try to recruit students to do similar activities.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. So maybe next time we can talk about having counselors come, who's going to do that at the campus and work on that, what staff might.
Sure.
Okay. So I have a draft letter number 8, a draft letter to the interim chancellor, and I think some of these things may have been answered already by Michael Compton, but so you got all this letter previously, and it was in but I made a hard copy for you as well. And I sent the letter out to you, Adam, previous to the end. So I don't know if we need to cover all those grounds or what you're thinking. I think now we could have one sentence where it says the result is given up, but we could also say, because Michael has just reported that they've changed the application process, so that seems to be something that we should acknowledge, don't you think? You need a copy of that letter, Bob?
So I guess the first time I've read through the letter, we're sending this to the chancellor. Why at this point? Aren't we going through a process that's already resolving these items?
That's a good question. I guess we're sending it because we're feeling that this is, if we don't have an open conversation with the chancellor, and maybe Michael can be our only liaison, that's fine. That we're deciding whether we're going to keep funding the campus or not. I think that's our goal by October 31st, right? Isn't that what we've been directed?
Yes, I'm not sure how this letter addresses that in particular. It seems like it's addressing a number of topics. One that either have been addressed properly, or if we're asking to meet with the chancellor on some topics, I think we should make that request and go through Mike to do that. I think that would be.
We do ask that in the letter.
Oh, I mean, okay.
I sent the letter out it was on your iPad.
So,
I was going to say, I kind of agree with him. I don't know that it's very clear what our ask is here beyond improving some of these issues that Dr.
Sure.
Compton has kind of already addressed. I think if we do want to send this for the purpose of discussion about continued funding, then then we need to make that very clear, and that might require some more follow-up on our part on, have all of these things been addressed? What is our ask specifically?
I guess the resolution that was accompanying this sort of said that.
And I appreciate that, but sending a letter to a chancellor of, I guess, isn't really
Okay,
the right
okay,
way to do
sorry.
that. I don't think. A clear way to do
This
that.
is just a draft, so what would you like to ask the chancellor?
More students, more money. Let me think on that a second.
So you said your purpose was that you wanted to have an actual meeting with the chancellor? Okay, yeah, I guess in the last sentence it says we would like to meet with you in person or through Zoom.
Well, and the fact that she's also new, we want to make sure that we keep the forefront, that she's aware of these problems. And that,
So this chancellor is new. Let's invite them to our campus to meet us,
wasn't
to meet
She
the
was at the
campus.
last meeting, wasn't she?
wasn't she?
She was at one of our meetings briefly.
Okay. So let's invite back. Let's have these conversations. Show what we've done.
Perfect.
Let's prove it.
Without a letter, just say we'd like to have an open discussion. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I do care. That's a nice way of saying that. I don't quite know how. I think we need to reach out to her through Michael or whatever. And I don't want to waste her time either. He's a very busy person. So maybe we need to list what, maybe not now, but list what we would, I guess I was thinking that there's a lot of things the campus, Mike is our advocate and he's been trying to advocate for us, but I think they don't realize that the community here is extremely invested in this campus and it has a culture of its own and it's not just a branch campus. It's part of the UW system and part of UW Platteville, but it also has its own entity and that I think that needs to be respected.
Well, and the last time that she was here was more she introduced herself to us. It wasn't that we were able to give her concerns or even let her know how important it is to this community, not only as an educational thing, but monetarily, how it contributes to this community, cultural wise, how, we're kind of in a wasteland here otherwise. I think that I like Bob's idea of inviting her back again.
So I think as you have your conversation, remember she's not new to the university, right? She's been with the university for 2 years as the provost. As the provost, she was assigned oversight of the branch campuses from by the chancellor. And of course, then I'm the person that was put in place to kind of, I guess, have that, right? To put those activities in place or put things in place that she wanted us to have done. So I think it's important that should you decide to invite her to meet with you, that you have specific talking points you want to discuss, because I think and realize she's knowledgeable. She's seen the letter that was sent to me. She's seen the response. She is in tune with what's happening. So you really need to, if you're going to have a conversation with her, have a direct one.
Absolutely. And I think if you want a conversation that's going to talk about our local situation or our local uniqueness, I think that's great because then we need to include the foundation in that because that is a very local, unique piece to our campus.
Yes.
I think our dorms are a very unique, more lately, a unique situation. We need to come up with 5 or 10 talking points with
Alumni
responses.
Association.
What's that?
The Alumni Association.
Alumni Association, perfect.
Mhm.
To gather those people together, to have that information, to have those 5 or 10 talking points, have those responses that make and show us unique, and then invite the chancellor here to meet some of these people so they can see what we are, what that uniqueness is and why it's important.
Madam Chair, can I add something?
Yes? Go ahead.
So Okay, thank you. So, I think I kind of agree with the idea of holding off on the letter. You know, it sounds like she's already received it. You know, and kind of
Received this
pushing
letter.
things.
She's never received this letter, right? Or has she?
Oh, the letter from Mike Compton, to Mike Compton. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of the similar elements to it, so I think that's why I was
Yes.
thinking that.
Yes.
But you know, I think if we can work through some of these issues with Dr. Compton, and we can get some of them off the list for our meeting with her, we could take the remaining issues that we're not able to resolve and discuss those with her. So one thing that might be a remaining issue, and I'm not sure that it will be, I'm just thinking it could be, is the idea of bringing a recruiter back that's focused on our campus. That might not be something that we can work through with Dr. Compton, but maybe that's something that we take to a meeting there. So with the interim chancellor. So I think that's kind of, in my mind, that's how I'm thinking about, you know, why we might want to wait a little bit for a letter for her.
I'm going to ask Ms. Noor. Is it too late to change your agenda for tomorrow night? Can you put on there that you might like someone to be at a joint meeting with us? Is that something, since they're meeting, and you only meet every 2 months, right? So it's sort of important. Dan? Mm-hmm.
Situation at the campus is very much in.
You gotta talk in the mic. Don't look at me, look at the mic.
Tennessee too. How can we talk about that campus without specifically talking about the dormitory situation? And I even hear that there's future plans by the people that are presently using those dormitories for increased use on-campus reasons. So I guess I'm confused here. How can we talk about this campus without talking about dormitories?
You wanna address that, Mike?
The housing is important for those that aren't able to commute or that want to have that type of an experience. So those are important there. I know they just hired a new manager for those for the housing unit Campus View across the road. So I think it's probably good that maybe you have a conversation with them to see what their plans are. You know, again, the unique factor here is the campus doesn't run those residence halls. So, and we've been working on an operational agreement with them to kind of specify things, spell things out as to how the two of us can work together on that. So the ownership company and the university can work together. So,
See, if in a perfect world, we get 500 kids tomorrow that want to come here and go to school. Okay, they all sign up. And then they say, okay, where do we live? We can't answer that question, can we?
Well, no, and that was a foundation decision that we're working around. But there were more rooms available. I think if we can promise more, there might be more that at the moment, because we weren't filling them, they had to make money on their building, and so they filled with other people at the moment. But if we could promise, there are available rooms. I mean, the back hall, is that being used too, Mike?
so Dean's Hall is the one that they're using for housing That's one setup as a, I'll say traditional residence hall type of setup. Then there, and that holds 57. I don't remember the total capacity of all the buildings over there. I'm thinking is it like 120, 130?
That's all we ever had.
Because I knew the break even point was 66 over there. So the non-residence lifestyle, so the apartment style buildings are being offered at market rate, and they have been since the ownership group took over. Foundation was unable to do that because they felt that could compromise their status as a 50c3. So they didn't want to do that. So the way the draft of our operational agreement looks is that there are certain time periods annually in which, right, we work with them to put students in place. Students go to sign a lease agreement. And so there are times when all of those apartments could possibly be available if there would be a need by campus, if we would have that many students, we would need them. So we really, I don't know that it's right to say it's not ever available, but on an annual basis, when it, as student numbers would tend to grow, if we would outgrow the Dean's Hall because that's what they want to focus on for students first, that would be 57 occupants, then that's what will push the most.
But we never had 500 students living there when we had 500 students. It's only a certain portion lived there. You're fine.
Is it not true that 2015, there was 530 kids enrolled out there?
Had those numbers, we had a year.
That was on a data sheet that I received
Yeah.
a year ago. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the head count was over that amount. The FTE for full-time was, I think, 380 maybe.
Right.
So, and you're more likely to have full-time students.
So
FTE
some of those were distance learning and
Some of them would have been online, some would have been dual enrollment, like 150 of them, I think, were in the Academic Alliance program, which was dual enrollment.
Okay.
So that would put you down into the 300s as far as full-time students
Okay.
at that time.
All right.
And that is one of the major questions I have on here is dual enrollment, because we're not doing that. That College Edge up by Southwest Tech is taking our place.
We have the Academic Alliance Academy, so we had 28, I think, students that had applied for high school students that had applied for that. So I don't have the last count on the numbers that are in there, but students at both the branch campuses can enroll in the Science Academy, which I think I've talked about several times in my report over the last year and a half, where they can take chemistry. They can enroll in the first 2 semesters of chemistry. They can enroll in the first 2 semesters of biology. And then if they wanted to take a third class, that would be like a general education class, they could do that as well.
Okay, to expedite things, how do you think we should proceed? One suggestion would be that I make a list of all the groups we'd like to have at that meeting. And in addition to that, I think it'd be good if each one of you sent what you think should be the topics at that meeting. Now, is that too complicated, or what do you think?
I think it's reasonable. We come up with some topics and then we can have that discussion as to see where it goes from there. I think we have to, like you mentioned, we need to have some direct topics and some direct purpose to what we're doing.
Sean and Clint, I have a question. Can I send out an email to everyone if it's not a meeting, asking them to reply it with those for a meeting?
As long as it's not discussed in like a reply all. If you're asking, please solicit questions and have them sent back to you to compile for later on discussion, I don't see where that would be a problem.
Okay, I just want to make sure it was legal because we can't have like a running meeting. Yeah, okay, so I think we'll proceed that way. I'll work on getting the group of people, and you work on, I'll send you an email when I have a little bit more, and then we'll work on a time and date. We can do that, and we won't contact Tammy Abedovich until we have that together, because we don't want to get her all excited until we do that. Is that okay?
If I could suggest, I think
Yes,
the main question the university has is how do people feel about, with this resolution out there, that first item being, supporting the campus without levy tax dollars, what's the thought of how it would intend to support the campus, and kind of what is the temperament maybe isn't the right word, but kind of what's the temperature there on that, because that's kind of the biggest question we have, and right now that holds me up. That holds me up on right now. I cannot get approval to hire positions while this question is up in the air.
well, I think that's why we got to keep moving, because we have that on our agenda, and we have to discuss whether we're going to have another meeting before we have to have this answered in October 31st. Okay, Adam, you've got a lot of important things here.
All right, much better, right? So I'll be really brief on my extension update. Just some kind of things that are happening around Area 13. We do have a lot of hiring going on within extension. Monroe County has a 4-H position open, so if you know somebody that's would be interested in 4-H, please send them that direction. We are looking at hiring a community development educator in Vernon County in the next couple months, so that posting will be coming out. We are doing final interviews for a community development educator in Crawford County that focuses on community food systems. So there could be some opportunities for the region there as well. Here locally, as everybody knows, last week was the fair, so the office was pretty busy with that. Continuing to do educational programs quite a bit, starting to look at especially the 4-H year starts in October, so new recruitment will go for that. They're finishing up with the Juntos program on how to support the Latinx population here in community and education. So Chelsea and Carlene have been working on that. Food-wise, did a focus group also with the Latinx population on what kinds of educational needs and nutrition needs to be done there. So there may be some more results coming from those focus groups as well. Again, just really keeping up to date with the educators. I've also done midpoint reviews with them, make sure we're on our track to meeting our goals for the office throughout the year. So with those are the quick updates. Does anybody have any questions about just the general updates on ag or the extension office?
Oh, that sounds good. A little wet on Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the next item on the agenda that I was asked to talk about was the budget repercussions and prioritizing of services in accordance with the resolution. Sorry, Sean, I don't have this for you, but I put together just a quick one sheet. The last meeting, I kind of asked where you guys thought your priority should be. Said, well, give us a list of where $37,000 could come from, and we can discuss that. So I put together where could possibility of $37,000 come from. The top of it, here, let's couple those around there so the campus can. So the top part of it is just some of the first thing that we look at, because $37,000 in our budget does mean the elimination of either support staff or educators. So we are going to probably be looking at, less services being offered. And where do you want those services to be reduced at? Is it availability to the public? Is it 4-H? Is it ag programs? Human development programs? So what I did in these options, the first one was if we look at the support staff, which is the county funded positions, option 1. So the options at the top, eliminate part-time staff, that'd be a $30,000 savings. Reduction of full-time staff from 35 hours to 28 is a $7,700 savings. There's actually one option in here where we move the full-time staff up to 40 hours, and that's actually an increase of $5,500. Move ag from 50 to 33% time, see if there's another county that's willing to share our ag position with, so it's a three-way share instead of a two-way share currently. So that would be a, let's see, make sure I'm back on the right spot. Would be a $7,000 or $7,600 savings. Eliminate the ag position altogether would be a roughly 22.5 savings. Reduce 4-H to 50% time. That would be a $29,000, almost $30,000 savings. If you eliminated the 4-H position altogether, that's a $52,000 savings. Reduce the human development from 80 to 60% time. That's roughly a $9,000 savings. And then eliminate the human development position altogether. That's roughly a $36,000 savings. So as I went through the options, I kind of put those things together where they kind of look at making 37,000. So option one is the elimination of the part-time staff and reduce full-time staff to 28 hours. Most likely scenario there, the office would be only open 4 days a week versus 5 days a week, but that's roughly a $38,000 savings there. Eliminate the part-time staff and reduce the ag position to 33%. Again, you know, we would, the part-time support staff right now is pretty much primarily allocated to the 4-H program. So they do a lot of the back management of the 4-H program. So that would be a reduction there and put more work on to the 4-H program, and we would lose some time in our ag programming as well. Option three, eliminate part-time staff, eliminate the ag position, but move the full-time staff up to 40 hours. That would be a savings of $47,000. Again, you know, we gain a little bit in support staff time, but we would really, you'd lose all agriculture programming and resources to getting people into the county. On the extension side, we'd also have, again, reduction in support from staff. Reduce 4-H to 50% time and reduce full-time support staff to 28 hours. Get us close to that 37. Option five, eliminate 4-H position altogether. Move full-time staff to 40 hours. We'd say 46,000 there. Eliminate part-time support staff, reduce human development to 60% time is roughly a $39,000 savings, and then eliminate that position altogether and a little bit of office expenses to come up with an even 37,000. So this is just the starting point for you guys. Kind of get a feel for what we pay for people, really. Right? Because this is truly an effect of, we are going to cut people somewhere in the office. Where do we see those? What do you guys value and prioritize for programs that we offer and the support that those programs get? So again, a matter of just throwing numbers together to come close to 37,000 and the starter spot for you guys to start thinking about. Yep.
Question. Thank you for this information. In looking it over, you're talking about in some of these reducing support staff, in some cases from 35 hours to 28 hours and reducing those hours. Do the support staff, are the support staff going to stay if they've got reduced hours?
The particular support staff that would affect would be tough.
I didn't hear the answer.
It would be tough for that
Oh, yeah.
particular person to stay. I mean, we're already at 35 hours, you know, you're
Yeah.
roughly looking at $19 an hour, and a person that's tough for a single person to live on.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of the other ones, you talked about reducing the ag position to 33% time. So is that position then go from full-time to part-time? And again, is a position like that something that someone would stay at?
So in that particular scenario, I would look for another county to partner and buy out the other part of their time. So right now we share that position with Crawford County. So I would look for another county that doesn't have that livestock expertise if it stayed as Carolyn, right? So see if she would then move her geography to cover 3 counties where everybody kicks in that full-time position. Again, would that person that's currently in that position want to add another county onto their plate? I don't, you know, those are, I mean, I can understand where that's a tough decision, because I remember going through it here when we went from full-time to half-time ag position when I was sitting in that chair.
Adam, how many part-time support staff are there?
Sandy is this part-time support staff.
There's only, so
Just
only
one.
one. Oh,
And there's one full-time.
Yep, so the full-time is 35 hours though.
Sorry, I got a cheerleader voice and I see not to want to use this, but anyway. Okay, if you take a person that's already working 35 hours a week and you reduce them to 28 hours a week, how do you pay them? Well, what my question is, do you take their bucket of money and still pay them 52 weeks out of the year out of that bucket of money, or do they make it for 45 weeks and then they get paid nothing for the remaining 7, or they collect unemployment? How are they impacted? That's what I'm trying to get at.
So I see them working 28 hours a week through the whole year. We just allocate, there's not as many dollars for those, we don't pay. It's not a salary position, it's an hourly position, so we're paying by the hour.
Okay, so they're not being reduced in work weeks, but it's just shorter work weeks, and so,
Shorter work weeks and shorter.
and a shorter check. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I was just trying to get an idea how that works with this, this application here.
Madam Chair, if I can ask a question?
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right question to be asking, but since obviously all of these options are going to have an impact on our community, when we're trying to decide, what would be least distressing, I don't know how to frame it correctly, but obviously the community values this too. Is there a way to have some idea of what programs the community tends to utilize the most in numbers? I know it's not all about numbers, but when we're looking at this from that perspective, we kind of need to know like what's being utilized the most, I guess.
So are you asking like
Like
number of participants programs
right,
that
right.
are for each program? I can put together those. How would you like me to allocate support staff?
What do you mean by that?
So, right, the educators, it's really easy. We have X number of programs that the educators run. They've got so many participants. We've got impact statements, all kinds of great stuff. I can pull those reports and I can get you all that number on the educators. How do you value the impact that the support staff has on the backside to support them?
Right.
And I guess that's the question to
Okay.
that response. Does that make sense?
That does. That helps clarify it. I guess, I mean, it would be helpful because I'm not super familiar to understand what the positions are and what they each do. I know
Could
we've
you-
had some introduction to that, but it's hard to keep
Yeah.
track of it all.
Could it be done by position or not by position, but by service? Could it be done by the 4-H, by the human development, instead of the numbers of support staff? How many people?
Yeah,
is
that's
that
what I
you're
was
saying?
asking.
Yeah, how many
Right.
people use the
4-H
part of it?
program.
How many use the 4-H program? How many use the human development program?
Right.
Per number.
That part we can get those numbers really easy. My question was when you start evaluating the part-time and full-time support staff, they're not just allocated to one program. So how do you evaluate their value to the office in conjunction with those programs? I guess that was my question.
But I think to
Follow-up
have
there.
a starting point,
Yeah.
we need to look at what programs then are we going to decide that we need to, are invaluable to keep, what ones are we considering cutting? And then we'd have to have this discussion of what kind of support staff then do you have to have in order to keep those programs going? Is that reasonable?
Yes. Any other thoughts?
Madam Chair, I have one. And I totally like what's being discussed. I think those are really important questions that Supervisor Glassburner was asking. I think some people are also curious, how do our staffing levels in Richland County compare to some of our peers? I know I talked to Mr. Hady about that after one of the meetings. He prepared something. I'm just wondering if there's any updated information on that.
I've got a couple of counties. I have not got the other ones to respond fully yet, Sean. That's why it hasn't been sent back to you yet. But they're coming in fairly similar as to what the other counties are. More sharing in ag, again, I think that's in part to between county dollars and the way the state is allocating its dollars to the ag position, because they're going into a regional model on the ag side of things in general. So I think when you see those numbers, there's a couple of counties that have already moved into that regional ag model as a reflection of that.
If you remember, he gave us this already from
Yeah.
each county.
Yeah, so what the numbers that you received last time, I believe, or two months ago, I can't remember for sure. I think it was last month, Sean had actually added, I think, 5 or 6 more counties, Sean, that you asked me to get some data for.
That sounds right. And I was kind of curious if we could pull in the agricultural acreage of each county as well, because I think when people think of extension, they think of ag. And so when we compare to those other counties, I think you were just pulling from your area, but I think we might need some others from a little wider than our your area where you manage, because the populations of some other counties in the state might be more similar to our population here compared to Grant County, which is 2.5 times our size. Not that you have Grant County, but Monroe County, maybe that's a better example, or La Crosse County. It's hard to compare us to them because their populations are so much different and their agricultural use might be different too.
Yep. Yep, so I am working on getting that data for you. It's just sometimes still coming during the fun budget season, so.
Right. I think this is very good what you gave us. I think we need to make some decisions on this at the next meeting, and we need to look it over. I want to ask you, the option 1, 2, 3, was that your suggestion that one is?
There's
There
no
there-
priorities whatsoever.
That's what I thought. There's no priority. Okay.
These are definitely food for thought type numbers, you know, just to kind of,
Yes.
what does 37,000 look like
Yes.
in this office, and where do we start looking at programs and offerings that we have?
Okay, so I suggest everybody look back on this report that we had and compare that to this, and you'll get more. And can you try to send out those reports ahead of our meeting, and I can get them onto the computer? And that
So
way-
you really would
and-
like,
Would you email this to Sean and the other members here?
Yep. I will. So if I'm hearing Ingrid clearly, you would like program numbers per each program, kind of what's,
Yeah, I guess I'm looking back at your, which these are helpful, and maybe, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, in our next meeting, re-uploading those documents that he had in the August one, so they're all together.
Yes.
I do think they're helpful. So on the one, you had listed like the non-mandated services and functions by program. So I guess maybe attaching now some numbers, like utilization numbers to those programs. And then it's a little bit hard for me. So you had some really helpful information in those, but it's a little hard for me to put together. So you've got in, I think it was, if I'm looking at this, number 10.5, the first one you put in there, you had listed the programs, and then you have in another one like the budget, and then in another one what staff we have, but it's a little hard for me to link, you know, what goes where, and as you're mentioning, the part-time staff support multiple of those programs. So yeah, because we're not in it, it's helpful to have a little bit more of a picture of if that, does that make sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles.
no,
here,
that's perfectly legitimate question. And I think that was really why we had emphasized the individual program educator presentations each month.
Yeah.
To get you guys really familiar with what is the programming efforts of each of the educators, what is their goals, what is their roles within the community, and where do they touch and make impact points.
Right. And those are helpful.
And I will
but
get,
to have a picture of it together is, I don't know, but I'm a visual person, so seeing numbers is helpful.
Okay, does that help you, Adam?
Yep, I will get some data together
All
for
right.
you guys, and I will
Thank you for
put a
this.
packet together.
And you've got the information, just put it all together so that we can get a good look. Okay, food service update. I'm gonna move to the 14 on it. On Thursday morning at 10:30, Mike and I don't know who else, Cheryl Dahl, we're going to be interviewing for the food service supervisor, correct, Mike? And there are 3 good applicants that we know. So just wanted you to know that that's happening this Thursday. Okay, Cindy. What would you like to tell us? Everybody knows Cindy?
Need Mike.
Oh, okay.
I'm Cindy Deidelhoff. I'm the interim right now for Angie. And we had a welcome back week day that was really nice. It was in the evening. I didn't get to attend because it was at 6 o'clock. I could have attended, but my mornings are early. I'm doing a foundation food service for the Tuesday night meeting. And I have a couple part-time girls helping me out right now. And you have literature on the revenue and accounts and stuff at fingertips there.
Mhm.
I'm a little nervous, if you can tell.
You don't need to be. We're not gonna bite.
Anything else I need to tell you?
Any questions for Cindy? We welcome you, and you're open 11 to 1,
I am open 11 to 1,
5 days a week?
4 days a week
4
right
days.
now. I'm hoping that with this new supervisor.
Not Friday, right?
Not Friday right now.
Okay,
We're not open Friday of last year because we did not
Yeah.
have many students.
I asked that because I already had somebody ask me when they could come to lunch.
I am having the seniors from Simons coming in tomorrow, Wednesday morning, and then every other Friday, the maintenance men come in for breakfast. And if anybody is interested in coming in, let me know. I'll make it work.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll move, can you stay a little longer? Okay. All right, thank you. So I put discussion of East Hall on here because I'm trying to read the contract, but from my personal memory, I don't think East Hall is part of the UW system contract. And I don't know if we can look into that. The East Hall was built after the campus was built, so it wasn't part of the original contract. And so we can maybe rent it out without anything else if we want to other people. It was built as the Tri-County Human Health and Services, and it was involved with Richland, Sauk, and Iowa. It was built in the early 70s. They wanted it to match the campus building. Marge Wallace just asked the county to do that. When the other two counties bowed out, then the county took it over, and County Human and Resources was in there. We also housed counseling services, and then they built the big room in the back, and VARC was there. So VARC would have paid us rent for that, I think, which subsequently moved out to the industrial park, as you know. When the county purchased the old IGA building, that all moved out of there, and I think it was empty for a while. Adam, you might know better. And then in 2009, they discussed moving extension there, and 2010, they moved there. So if we're going to be making plans about how we can have more income on the campus, I think, though, that the system is paying the utility bills. So this is why it's a little bit murky for me. But I don't think that this building, I think this building is ours and separate from the campus. So that's my only research on that at the moment. Any comments on that or what we should do?
So John and Brandon were doing some work today. I think I'm on. I can hear me.
Yeah, you are.
My light is going dimmer as the hours progress. So John just handed me some information here. There's a letter dated December 7th, 2010 to then President Kevin Riley of the UW system. Basically in that letter, it describes the parcel that contains East Hall. Says, maybe this would help find records, says
Okay.
Richland County Board Resolution number 09-75 provides that This transfer shall be effective when the Director of the Health and Human Services Department sends a letter to the President of the University and to the Dean of the UW Richland campus stating that the Board of Regents has formally approved the return of this property to the UW Richland campus use and that the Department of Health and Human Services has completely vacated the property. I am hereby declaring that the Richland County Development or Department of Health and Human Services has officially vacated the property at 1000 Highway 14 West. I am also in receipt of a copy of the resolution from the Board of Regents accepting the return of the parcel and building in question to campus use in accordance with the long-term lease between the county and the university.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay, so you got, I was trying, Victor Velasic was not, couldn't find that, they didn't know, so you have it. All right, that's
Yeah.
what we needed to know. Okay, good. All right, we're gonna move on then to discussion and action on county resolution passed August 16th regarding use of the facilities for other entities. So we do need to decide when we're going to really talk about this resolution. I have okay. The resolution. The county resolution is.
Okay, there's nothing new. This was from.
No,
before.
this is,
Okay,
we've never discussed it.
right.
Yeah. I have one thing I can add, and I hope some of you are calling. I did talk to Joy Kirkpatrick, who works for Extension and also the Ag Department at UW-Madison. She said Extension is considering a regional model with regional outreach. She doesn't know exactly, they're just in discussion. They think our campus might work within coordination with the Smart Farm. She didn't know about finances or any of that. She will get the information from Carl. Do you know Carl Martin, Adam, who is the dean, which might be something that then Michael and we can discuss with them. That might be a way of using some of the buildings, but we would need to know if they can give rent or something. So this is just one option that I'm working on. So anybody else have ideas? It's a hard one.
I wish I did.
So I guess campus facilities, the question comes up, what facilities? Because we do have the students at the campus. We do have requirement to manage and take care of that. So I guess I'd be curious as to what facilities, if the East Hall may be opening up, that would be an opportunity to possibly do something. I guess my question's going to go back to you, Mike, and what's available. What is with the staff, with the numbers of students that are there, what is available or what could be available, or how would that affect things? I think that's where we have to start.
When I presented the information, was that last month or the month before, about possible cost of the building,
Yes.
basically implying that when we look at the gymnasium, it could be possible that Simons would manage that facility. Tracy Gobin and I, we are putting together a proposal that we would bring to this body as well as the natatorium board on how that could look. I think something like that could be promising because we really don't have the staff to manage that gymnasium to its full extent as far as bringing in people from the community, allowing it to be used for a variety of sporting events. And I think that, well, Tracy was really excited about it when I asked her about it at first, and she still is excited about it. I think she believes that she could, that could help the Simons Center in increasing its revenue by just being able to supply more opportunities for competitive events, I'll say. I think when we were going to get down to my building report, the thing that I have on here for the building report is I've updated classroom use based on what we're doing this fall. And so what I'm going to show you here, you want to we don't need to go through this right now, but I'll just read the building use update. So we are only going to use the classroom building on Monday morning this fall. And we're closing it, we're locking it Tuesday through Friday. Some of that has to do with the air conditioning issues and the fact that only half of the building can be environmentally controlled right now, at least from a cooling aspect, if we would need that. There's also some issues there with technology because we wanted to revamp a room and we weren't able to do that. So all the classes this fall, with the exception of one art class, all other classes are going to be held in the science building, Melville Hall, and the classroom in the Miller Memorial Library. And we're going to look at next spring to see what are we offering class-wise next spring, and what's the best thing that we can do? What's the best thing that we can do for classroom assignments for that semester? The other impact here is staffing, right? We're down to one custodial and one maintenance. We tried twice to hire the custodial position. We were unsuccessful. We had no applicants. One applicant the first time around that withdrew. The second time around, there was only one applicant that responded to me, and he said no, that he was no longer interested. So we hired a student last year. We're going to go for a student again this year. And so really helping locking that building down reduces our custodian's workload a little bit. The other thing we've done is we've taken out the garbage containers in the parking lots. And I've just taken them out because they're not really being used so much by students, but we're finding a lot of interesting materials. People are bringing things from their car or whatever place, right? And putting them in those garbage cans. So we're trying to reduce the custodian's workload as well. So there are possibilities. Right now, we could put all of our classes in one building. With the number of students that we have right now. Well, that plus having the office building, right? So,
Are there any office spaces available? I mean, I know you guys are working. Are you having a date when you're going to move or anything?
we don't have a date for that yet. So last week I came down and the extension staff mentioned, we talked about the possibility of moving, and what the staff is, what I asked the staff to do is, what do you have to have to be able to maintain programming, and what is your wish list? What would you like to have? With moving extension, one big challenge that we have is the most popular program is that food program, and we wouldn't have a place in Melville Hall to do that right now. So Melville Hall would have to get modified, the rooms, and so we'd have to knock down some walls and stuff to
What do
be
you
able
mean
to
the food
provide
program?
that program.
That they use the kitchen over there?
Yes.
They can't use the cafeteria?
I'm not, that's Cindy.
Well, that's us.
Well,
I'm not
so-
sure.
So what Mike's talking about is right. We support the FoodWise program, right? That does youth nutrition in schools. So the prep samples and things like that go into the schools. The human development educator does regularly food preservation programs, right? So
Yes.
you couldn't really do a food preservation program in the kitchen.
So how did you
campus.
do it before you moved there?
We were renting spaces from campus or with the high school, which is getting increasingly hard to do. We also, now the 4-H program, right? Foods program has actually grown considerably over the last 5-10 years. More and more kids are into making food and doing that. So especially when we do youth day camps, Cloverbud day camps, there's usually some kind of food prep program. I know, Linda, you guys probably did it when you were in continuing ed. There was a lot of things that come out of kids making food together, right?
Yeah, we did a lot.
And with having that kitchen, that stove there, I mean, that was one of the big priorities. That was pushed for building that meeting room the way we did on the move, because it made things much more convenient for campus, for us being on campus and bringing people there. Some of the other things we just talked about there's a lot of logistics stuff that's got to get sorted out just moving over there, right? We're not on campus computers. We're not on the telephone systems. The last time we moved back in 2010, it was $10,000 to move us then. I can't imagine what it's going to cost just to move us over by the time you redo wiring for copy machines and some of those other things. So, I mean, we're working through those, so it's not going to be a quick move by any means. but we're very much working together to be deliberate to make this a good move for both, right? And I think Mike's been really helpful in this process, really open with the staff. I think the staff was really open with you guys. It was a great conversation. And we're kind of coming up with what do we need, and we're gonna do some walkthroughs and see how we can arrange things and move forward. But I don't think it's gonna be something that's gonna happen tomorrow, just because of the process that we have to go through.
So I think you need to include us with the kitchen because we have a complete kitchen.
Yeah, I think the thing to look into there is, could running that FoodWise program impact the kitchen's ability, right, I'm thinking about you're doing the meals in there, the senior meals and stuff in there. You have a health inspection licensing process that you have to go through. I just want to make sure that would all be okay, not be compromised by anything that we would. And does the kitchen have what you need to run that program too?
So it's not just making food for the program, right? If that was the case, it'd be super simple to have. And we've worked with food service when we need just food for a program. Right?
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about using a kitchen.
Right, so
I
using the
understand.
kitchen.
Because I was there when you did that.
So, right, so when we use the kitchen now, it's in conjunction with the presentation that's on, we're doing a canning class. There's a canner on the stove while you're talking about, you can't do that in the kitchen on campus.
I think you need to look at that high school room because I was there with many hospital programs and there are tons of, that room isn't utilized at all. It's a complete with several stoves and kitchens out there.
Right, and it's, a couple $100 a time to use it, right? So there's some things that happen.
Yeah, I think we just need to look into that.
Madam Chair, can I say something?
Yeah.
I just think we just need some ideas from you all. You're out there all the time. Obviously we don't, with the current extension staff and the current campus, student enrollment and staff, we don't need all the buildings for those purposes. What could you split off so that the county can start bringing in some revenue from those buildings? So that's just one comment there. I have another comment, and that's just I'm also curious about the land. I mentioned that in the last meeting. I was looking for some more information on the land behind the campus. I know right now it's being leased out. I'm just looking for some more information on how long that lease is and is there any potential community use of that land? Right now, it doesn't seem to be, I know the woods up top are being used, but I'm just looking for some more details from the UW system about their lease and their relationship and the cost and all of that stuff. So that's just more information I think would be helpful to answer this question that's part of the resolution.
Well, Sean, I don't think there's any long-term agreement there isn't a long-term agreement that I have found on the rental property, the ag land and the rental that there's, I don't think there's anything there that if that needed to go away, if there was another use for that portion, that's not that wouldn't hold us back.
Well, I'm just looking for if you could get some written information to us. What's your current relationship and the income and all of that stuff? I think that'd be helpful for me just to better understand what's going on back there.
Sure. Rental income is $3,500 a year.
Do you have a lease with a farm?
I don't have it with me.
No, does the UW system have a lease? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I'll have to check through the files, check with Brandon, and I'll check with Eric Hoffman. Eric Hoffman's the person that receives the check that goes into the bank. As far as the lease, we'll have to look around where that lease is because that's something that was done a long time ago.
Thank you.
Okay. I think this will be our main topic, that the ag and this for our next meeting. In the meantime, we'll be working on getting the other idea I think we'll have to have a separate meeting when we meet with the chancellor than with this meeting. And we'll have to figure out how to coordinate those. Any other topics on this until we move on? Yes, Dan?
Yes, question for Dr. Compton. I notice your completed projects, your outstanding and current projects, all HVAC, the vast majority of them anyway. What is UW Platteville's role in this? I know they have a highly competent staff down there, trained with several really good people, right? And yet, why are we going to outside contractors for estimates and for work performed? Wouldn't that go through the UW Platteville first?
It doesn't, the UW Platteville does not have the staffing to do the HVAC and environmental control systems for all three of its campuses.
One more time, I didn't quite hear that. What?
We do not have the staffing at UW Platteville main campus to do regular maintenance on the environmental control systems for all three of its campuses. So the way this has worked since collaborative integration, and I think even before with the UW colleges, the staff on site basically would make sure that things in the buildings were running. And there's been a long history of bringing in people like both Mickey and Jim Bell have told me that the Big Mike from Precision Controls is the only person around that knows all the ins and outs of that building, of those buildings on campus, and is the most knowledgeable person on how what needs to be fixed and what needs to be done. So, and even on the main campus, we don't do all of our own repairs. We have one plumber. You have, one electrician. You don't have a staff that's going to do every single repair job, and some of that work gets outsourced.
Okay, I don't know if maybe didn't completely understand my question. Isn't that your first would be your first move to check with the UW Platteville if they had someone that would come here, or is there no type of connection in that regard?
We do not have the staff to send up here and come and check something out when it breaks down.
Numerically speaking, or proficiency speaking, like
mostly numerically speaking. They have over 300,000 square feet of building space down there, and I would say it's a challenge for the staff to keep up with all of that down there. So I've been in communications with folks, and basically the way we're operating is the way we need to operate at this point in time. Even Mickey, with his license for HVAC that he got about a year and a half ago, still almost when something needed Freon, sometimes he could fill it, sometimes the Precision had to come in and fill it. They did a lot of the other outside entities did a lot of the repairs as well when it was a substantial repair that was needed.
Okay, thank you.
And this is just hypothetical, but if they had enough numbers of repair people, would they then be able to come up and help?
So you're asking if we live in a perfect world where every business is fully staffed, because I think a lot of us around the table that are associated with businesses know that is not the world we're living in right now.
Perfect world. If there was a perfect world, would they be coming up to repair?
I've worked for UW Platteville since 1995. I led the search and screen committee. It was in 2011, I think, for the director of facilities at UW Platteville. One of the applicants indicated to me that even then, over 12 years ago, we were severely understaffed.
Okay, but I'm talking a perfect world.
I can't, that's a question I can't answer, right? Because it's not in the realm.
Extrapolate from that and say, then is there any way we could get them to help pay for some of this stuff?
No.
Okay,
no, this is county responsibility.
Okay.
Per the lease agreement.
Okay, that's what I should have asked first then.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I knew what you were asking. It's the same answer, really. I just changed the words.
So I'm just going to say that The referendum ad hoc committee document presentation that we're gonna do, I know Ingrid's seen it, I know Bob has done it, I know you saw it at the zoning committee, I saw it, Barb has not seen it. I think that's the only person, right? So Adam, so Sean and Barb can maybe do that if we move on, is that all right? Okay,
Do-
so can we just, while we have a quorum, the ag and extension monthly expenditures, how much are they?
I guess, may I ask a question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Should we be paying our bills before we move on too much?
We're gonna do each one. That's on
Okay,
the,
we're gonna go back to paying bills
that's
after.
at the bottom. I did that last because we had so many things to do.
Okay.
On your mic on again.
All right, so that everybody can hear online. Our general office accounts are pretty simple. Copy, lease, telephone, office supplies for $669.53. Our extension program accounts, we had some stuff from our general family living. We also did some food preservation programs. The total cost there was $393.57. And then in our office soils accounts, again, these are in and out accounts. People bring in soil samples, then the lab charges us what they come in with. So that was $32. So that's the extent of the extension
And
bills.
the total is?
So for soils accounts, the total is 32. We have three accounts that we're running with. The program accounts was $339.57.
I got it all down.
Yeah, so those actually come out of.
So
three
we have
different
to
funds.
move on each one of those?
If you want, or you could accept all of them together.
Yeah, that, you don't want to do a total of that, okay.
No.
All right,
So
so we
they're-
have the
so they're
three
each coming up.
accounts. Do I have a motion to pay those expenses? Bob Frank moves, Dan McGuire seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, UW Platteville monthly expenditures?
Yeah, if you see on the attachments, had three expenditures in the last month, totaling $1,006.50. Those were sprinkler inspection and visits to provide estimates on repairs that need to be done.
And how are we doing then on the budget? We have like 4,000 left. That's all right, you don't have to tell me that.
I think it's less than that.
Yeah, I think
I
it
think
is.
it's like $1,800 or
Yeah.
less.
Hold your breath when you're out there. Don't breathe and don't do anything. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the $1,006.50 expenditures from the UW extension account, or UW Richland, Platteville Richland account? Bob Frank moves, Dan McGuire seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, monthly food service, your total? We have it here. Just read the total for us. The monthly, yeah.
$21,338.23.
Do I have a motion to approve the $21,338.21?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
On the second page that we got that looks like this, the numbers on the bottom, I'm not sure if I'm reading that correctly, but it looks like the balance went up in August. I'm wondering if am I just reading it incorrectly or was it not subtracted? Well, when I'm looking at the total revenues being 17,000 and the expenditures being 21,000, shouldn't our balance have gone down by those 4,000?
One was expenditures and one was revenue. There was more revenue. There was more expenditures than revenue.
Right. So then wouldn't we have a total of 4,309 being removed from our budget? Am I stating that correctly? Right, so that means we have $4,309 that we're going down by. Right, but then it says a balance available 831, it went up by the $4,000, not down. You see what I'm saying? It's a negative balance?
Yeah.
Okay, so I apologize, I was confused by that. Because I thought it looked like we were adding to that to make the total of 93.
It's a negative.
It's a negative balance, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Apologize for
okay.
the confusion.
Good looking at
What's
it.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're in a hole less than we were, but we're hoping with, when we get somebody full staff that what they mentioned, all those programs.
I think I got confused because we were talking about next year's budget and how
Yeah.
we're going to make
That's
revenue, and I forgot we're in the hole this year. Okay, that makes
okay.
sense.
Do I have a motion to approve the expenditures of 21,338.23 for the food service?
I can move since I made all the hassle.
Okay, Ingrid moves and Barb seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, and I'm not quite sure how to do this. Sean, I would like to adjourn the meeting, but have you and Barb stay here. Oh, she can't stay. Is there, she can read that report, right? Oh, wait, when you go, have they done the report for the Public Safety Committee? And you weren't there? I asked you, and you said you didn't hear. Okay, Sean, everyone here has heard the report at their, except for Michael, Adam, and John. I don't know how you want to handle that.
If they want to hear it, I'm happy to stay and give it to them if they want to understand what's happening with the county. Otherwise, that's okay. I understand. Everyone's got busy lives, so whatever people want.
Mike, I know you haven't.
That would be awesome.
What?
Sean, they're recommending that they get, at least, Adam would like it sent to him.
Yeah.
And,
I
and
think,
that's fine for everyone
didn't I,
else too.
did I send it in that email to you? If not,
So-
Sean, will you resend it to them? I'm pretty sure I sent, oh, Michael, it's in the packet with the foundation. I sent a hard copy to you.
Any questions you have with that, we look over, please let us know for clarification. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, so, I've lost my calendar. So we may have to have a different meeting for the interim chancellor, but right now we would be officially meeting October 10th. Of course, we have to have a lot of answers by the 31st. So I'll send you out what you should get back to me. I'll try to contact those other entities and we may set up another meeting. I don't think we can do that today.
That be before or after the next?
I don't know. What is your thoughts? Anything on the meeting to prepare or to have with the chancellor? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so our next meeting would be October 10th at, okay, Mike, 1:15? In this room. We're going to be meeting from now on here. So may I have a motion to adjourn to 1:15, October 10th? Okay. Bob Frank moves and Ingrid Glassmer seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. Opposed? October 1:15. Yeah. Back to our normal meeting. No,
Good meeting. Thanks, Linda.
well,
Bye,
we're
everyone.
trying to accommodate